welcome to Caffeinate Your Career. Today's topic is overcoming adversity. I'm your host, the career coach with the most, Jason Hopper. With me today, I got special guest host, Miss Irene Krasnoff. Irene, welcome to Caffeinate Your Career.
Thank you. Good to be here.
I am checking to see if we are live, and we are, and I can hear us. So things are rolling well. I see like people are jumping into watching live. If you have any questions for Irene, put them in the chat. We'll try to look at the chat. So Irene, give us your 30-second commercial.
My 30-second commercial.
I guess it could be longer than 30 seconds.
Oh, longer.
Yes.
Okay, I feel like I want a job interview. I am a marketing campaign manager for TD SYNNEX Public Sector. I work for a global IT company, and we provide IT services to the U.S. public sector, both the federal government as well as state and local and educational institutions as well. And I'm doing exactly what I love, which is marketing.
Yeah. And so, how long have you been doing marketing?
I have been in marketing grand total for 15 years.
Okay.
I used to have a home-based business, and then I gave up that business because I was going through a divorce. And so that's what sparked my job search. Now, I like working for the corporate environment because you have all kinds of resources, and I just love that environment. And so TD SYNNEX Public Sector was the perfect job, but it took me a long time to find it.
How long did your job search take? Actually, let's start over. How long have you been in this role?
I've been in this role for a little over 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been that long.
It's been that long. Hard to believe.
I know, like, you know, I found like over the time, the more that you enjoy the job that you're doing,
Yeah.
like the faster time goes. It's just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I've been here at JFS now for 4.5 years, and it seems like yesterday. And I
Yeah.
can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah, I remember, because it was very obvious that you loved your job.
Mhm.
And I think that's the key. Yeah, I feel like my day goes by very quickly, and I'm very fortunate that as a single mom, I get to work from home.
No, okay, so you
Yeah.
are completely remote.
Completely 100% remote.
Do you find that you are, so how does that dynamic work with your team, being remote?
Being remote. That's a very good question. The dynamic, obviously, we have the benefit of Teams. So a lot of team chat. And there's also a lot of there's the team chat, there's a Teams meeting. Now, granted, it's not the same as meeting your coworker in person.
Yeah.
But from time to time, we do meet in person when we go to a corporate headquarters for a meeting or at a conference, because we do have a lot of public sector conferences.
Okay.
And so that's the opportunity to meet my coworkers in person. But for the most part, it works seamlessly. I think because of COVID, we've gotten used to that remote environment. And so therefore, it's a little different, but it's no different.
Gotcha. I'm looking now. I see like people are popping into the chat. Good morning, Sharon Harris. Hey, Phil Buckmeyer. It's nice to see you. And the chat is working, so good to know.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, that dynamic. Because I don't really work. I work from home on Fridays, and really the only reason is because pretty much everybody in my organization and definitely my team works at home Friday. But I don't work from home very well. I just get I'm way too distracted. Like here, I think a lot more focused, a lot more, lot more me, I guess you'd say.
That makes sense. I think for different people, the in-person makes the most sense, and for others, the remote makes the most sense because maybe you're a mom with little children at home, or maybe you got to pick up your child from school at 3:00, and so having that flexibility makes a difference. But I find myself more productive working remotely than in the office. Because in the office, I'm tempted to talk to people.
That's like, I know, that's the best. That's why I want to be in the office.
Right.
I want to pop next door and talk to Jill, right? Like, see what's going on.
Exactly.
So Sharon says, it's great being remote. She's happy working from home. I may put more hours, but dang, I'm happy. It does make a difference,
Mhm.
and especially being happy in the role. So
Exactly.
I'm glad that you found something that you enjoyed. And how? I'm sorry. Did we talk about how long it took you to get there?
To get to my job?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good question because in the job search, as all of you who are looking for a job know very well, it's very discouraging the longer it takes, especially submitting application after application, interviewing after one interview after the other. And sometimes, even after the third interview, you may not get the job. And it's extremely discouraging. So for me, I was lucky. It took me over a year. I know
Okay.
some folks have taken as long as 5 years. But the key is this: you gotta persevere. That's the key.
Yeah.
You cannot give up.
I think like that is the true. Like you want to make sure that you are continuing and not giving up because it's hard. I
Yeah.
think I keep reading the number I keep seeing in articles is it's taking now 5 to 6 months for people to get hired onto a job that they like. Could be longer if it's a more of an executive kind of role. So it just depends. And so it took you a year. What were some of the struggles that you faced during the job search?
During this job search, I was in the midst of ending an 18-year marriage. I was going through divorce proceedings and also fighting for the custody of my then 10-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
So you can imagine my stress was pretty high.
A lot going on.
A lot going on. And I had to get a job before we went to mediate because part of the decisive factor is income, and I didn't want to risk losing custody of my child. So it was super stressful.
So you were a successful entrepreneur.
I was a successful
For quite some
entrepreneur.
time. But again, that's going to be kind of a rocky.
Yes.
You don't always have clients or things slow down. So
exactly.
So that was one of the things that forced you into going back into like the corporate world.
Yes, it forced me to go back into the corporate world because I needed something predictable. Because in the entrepreneurial world, it's very up and down. And I couldn't afford that up and down in the midst of going through a tumultuous divorce.
Yeah.
And so I needed something steady. Now, I was in the corporate environment. My last job was with IBM. That was back in 2008. And so that seemed to be the next logical step. And I love marketing, and marketing is versatile.
Yes.
And so I wanted to get back into marketing, get back into a role that gave me enough to be a single mom. And so I reached out to Jewish Family Services because even though I know how to market and sell myself, because in a business you're selling yourself, I needed the extra help because in my mindset I was going through both the stress of finding employment as well as the stress of going through a divorce.
Right.
And I needed somebody to help. And that's where Jewish Family Services came in with their employment services. And thankfully I had you as a coach.
I was going to say, you had a pretty good coach.
Yes, a pretty good coach. You kept me laughing, which is what I needed.
Yes.
Because, laughter is the best medicine when you're going through stress. So.
Well, I think too, like with job search, nobody wakes. So it's funny because nobody wakes up in the morning like, I get to go look for work today. Yay! But also too, it does not have to be just so super serious. And I understand, like it's oftentimes like people don't. They don't understand the dynamic of job search and how it actually works. Like I think oftentimes what people think is that they will go and apply for a job on Indeed, and the recruiter's going to see their resume, and then they're going to get called, and then they're going to the interview, and then they're going to get the job. And that's not how any of this works today.
Not anymore.
Yeah, job search today is more about like who you know, right?
Exactly.
And so, and being visible. Because I know we talked previously, it was not just let's put the plan in place, but okay, what kind of content can you post on LinkedIn?
Exactly.
Right. And how is that going to go? Is it going to be video content? Is it going to be written? Is it going to be video pictures? But we came up with a strategy to keep you visible.
Yeah, exactly. And more than just the LinkedIn content, it was also the networking.
Yeah.
Connecting with people in real life, talking to people. And it didn't necessarily have to be about a job. It was even networking at meetups or some other social functions that did not involve job-related networking or work. Because by talking about other things, you may learn that so-and-so works for such and such company that you're interested in, and then that could lead to an interview.
Right.
And I had something similar happen, and that was just posting in a mom's Facebook group. I got an introduction to someone at a global company, not the one I work for, but a different one. And so that's unexpected things happen when you're out there.
Yeah, I think that for sure, because I usually suggest to clients that they have like 10 to 12 target companies to start with.
Yes.
But then I also remind them this is going to change as you start talking to different people.
Right.
And you learn about what they do, and you're like, well, that's super cool. I would think I might want to work for that company as well.
Exactly.
And you then go and start getting and building in champions at places where you want to work.
Exactly.
So one question I had was, and you had mentioned it, that we try to keep positive. What are some of the other ways you overcame all the stress of the divorce, needing to get a job? You're worried about your kid and and her emotional state too.
Exactly.
Right? Like what other things did you do to keep on target and overcome those challenges?
A lot of mindset work.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of negative thought coursing through me, like I'm such a failure. I should have been here in my career or my business, and I'm not. I have a failed marriage. I feel like I'm in a failed relationship. All of these negative thoughts were going through me, and then I thought, I have to do a flip because I am a role model for my daughter, and that's what kept me going. So you got to find something that keeps you going if you don't have a child. Maybe it's an international trip you want to take. Maybe it's something like an expensive hobby you want to pursue. Something. You got to find something that keeps you going, and then you got to find something. You got to tap into you, the power of you as an individual. And everyone in the audience, you are amazing just the way you are, and you got to tap into that. And the key thing is self-doubt is natural.
Yeah.
Having a low self-confidence or getting discouraged because you interviewed 3 times and you didn't get the job, all of that can weigh you down, but you can't focus on that because you got to keep your eye on the prize. And that prize is the job that you're going to enjoy. The prize could be the vacation that job will enable you to take. So you got to focus on that. For me, it was my child that kept me going.
Yes.
I did a lot of meditation. That helped.
Yes.
A lot of deep breathing techniques, a lot of meditation, going out for walks, and also taking the time to do something that you truly enjoy. Now, for me, that's watching series on Netflix. So I give myself a couple of hours in the evening to do that.
Yes. What series are you watching right now?
Right now, well, I just finished watching a Korean series.
Okay.
I love Korean drama, Taiwanese drama.
Okay.
Queen of Tears is number 1 in Korea.
Okay.
It's an awesome, amazing story. Based on a real life story about a Samsung heiress who married someone of, I would say, a not lower social status, but of lower means.
Okay.
But in real life, that marriage ended up in divorce because he was cheating. But they made this into a super romantic story, and I don't want to spoil the plot line in case anyone wants to watch.
Queen of Tears. Y'all watch the Queen of Tears.
Gotta watch that.
I just finished the Umbrella Academy. I like superheroes, and saw the final season of that just recently on Netflix. So,
wow.
See, I told you. I told guys, we started this. I told Irene at the beginning. He's like, I'll probably go down a rabbit hole. That was it right there. You just saw the rabbit hole.
Exactly.
So Queen of Tears and watch the Umbrella Academy. It's interesting because I think that making sure you stay within that positive environment and whatever it is, like watching Netflix or something like that,
right.
To keep you engaged, because the perception oftentimes is, well, I'm at work 8 hours a day. I should be job searching 8 hours a day. And that's not really sustainable.
No.
How much time did you spend a day on the job search? Do you recall?
I recall because I was also running my home business too as well. So I will recall I spent approximately 4 hours a day, I would say.
Yeah.
The thing that I regret not doing was taking a break for an entire week or so.
Yes.
Because you got to treat your job search like you would going on vacation at work. We need paid time off to refresh. And the same thing is you need a break, several days of break from a job search just to recharge.
Absolutely. Especially when you start to get into that mode where it's just the grind itself is too much.
Yeah.
And you have to recognize those behaviors for burnout.
Yeah.
And you don't want to burn out.
Right.
And that's when it's time to take a break.
Yeah.
At least a day, if not two. I remember I had a client and she's like, I need to take a break. I'm like, okay, that's okay, cool. And she said, yeah, but I want to schedule time with you. I'm like, that's great. I would love to get you on the calendar. She goes, okay. Can you put me on the calendar then for September? And I'm like, okay, because it was like June.
I see.
I was like, okay, sure. And I booked her appointment for September, and I'm like, I'm never going to see you again. But she took time off, and then she came back. And when she came back, she was not only ready, but she just absolutely just crushed it.
I'm sure.
And ended up, getting a great job after that. So, I mean, that's a long break, but I mean, everybody's going to be different. But I think that it's so important to just take that time. Right?
Yeah, it is so important to do that.
You were talking about all the negativity and getting beaten down. And I think oftentimes there are going to be plenty of people in your life, whether you're doing job search stuff or something else, that will be more than happy to tell you where you've done something wrong, or be critical of what you are doing. And I think it's important to make sure that not only are you listening to people, but listening to the right people.
Right.
Because if people are not that are in your life are not giving feedback, but really just trying to either or make you feel bad, it's time to get new people.
Exactly.
And that's not the easiest thing, especially like you were talking, like you were in this marriage for 18 years. It started obviously not going well, which is why you ended up getting divorced. But that's something that's like a huge, I'm not going to say barrier, but it's definitely a challenge to not only work through it, but work through how awesome and kick-ass you are as a professional.
Yeah, it was very hard because, I got a lot of negative feedback, including being told that I didn't have any skills, that I didn't know what I was doing in my career. And I didn't let that go to my head, and it was much to my detriment. I think what helped was getting counseling and also surrounding myself with the right people.
Yes.
People who built me up. People who believed in me. But ultimately it came down to the realization that I had to believe in myself. Because if I didn't believe in myself, no one else could do that for me.
Right.
I could have plenty of cheerleaders saying, rah, rah, you can do it. But if I didn't believe in myself, all those words would be meaningless. So
that's a great point, and one that people don't often get, which is job search is a mindset game.
Yes, it is.
Like I tell clients all the time, I can teach you everything that you need to know to be successful, but if you don't have the right mindset, none of it's going to work anyway.
Yeah.
You cannot get into situations and interviewing situations and bring that baggage in with you. I mean, any experienced recruiter can see it and smell it on you. And I have been in I've done so many interviews with people. I'm like, there is a lot going on here. And then if we're not prepared correctly, the other thing that happens is the interview sometimes then becomes therapy session. Right?
And you don't want that.
And you know what? It's like, you know, I mean, can you imagine you going into the interview? It's like, so Irene, tell me about yourself. I am in the middle of this divorce right now. I mean, nobody would. That's not going to go well, right? Like nobody wants to see that
exactly.
bit. I think like it's that preparation. The job seekers they don't put in enough time practicing in the interview. Right?
Yeah.
And you know what? That's a good time for the commercial for the day. Guys, we do have a practice interview program. We do it currently the second and fourth week of each month. It's actually today. Today's event is full up. How it works, it's virtual. We have a whole team that will what happens is I put you guys into breakout rooms. They interview you for 30 minutes. You have 15 minutes of feedback. And at the end of the week, you will have a document in your hand, the things that you might want to improve on. It's 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock Central Time. The next time we're going to be doing it is on the 23rd. So if you want to do it, email me. And my email is the letter J, Hopper, HOPPER, at jfsdallas.org. Send me an email, put mock interview on the subject line, and I will get you sorted out for that in 2 weeks. So that's the commercial for the day. So being a single mom, did that affect the way that you handled challenges and adversity?
It definitely plays a huge factor.
Okay.
Mainly, like I said earlier, I see myself as a role model for my child. I want her to grow up to be an empowered woman. So in order for her to grow up to be an empowered woman, I have to be empowered myself. And so that involved, to quote Mel Robbins, doing a lot of mindset reset.
Oh, okay.
And every day is a constant mindset reset. Even now, I go through mindset reset because I think it's natural for us to have negative thoughts because it's a survival mechanism, so to speak.
Yeah.
But you got to replace that negative thought with something positive, something uplifting. Find a statement that resonates with you. For me, it's I am wonderful, I am awesome, I got this.
Yeah.
And that's what helped me see it through. And I know as a single mom, I'm the sole provider.
Yeah.
So career success is everything for me. And right now it's my number one focus. And maybe that's not such a good idea because I need balance in my life. Yeah. So I'm striving to find that balance. So the latest balance is to have fun adventures with my daughter to create memories. So we went to Dallas Glass Art.
Oh, okay.
And we did some glass blowing and made some glass pieces.
Okay.
So tapping into the creativity, tapping into something that gives you joy, I think is most important. And especially in the crucial job search, you got to focus on things that make you happy.
So for you, really, failure was not an option?
Failure was not an option, and it should never be an option.
What?
But you fail forward. There's a big difference.
Yeah, I think for sure. So long as you're learning as you go. You know, it's interesting. I like to, whenever I think that things aren't quite going right, I like to break things down to the basic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I woke up this morning because some
Right.
people did not wake up this morning,
That is so true.
right? Or I can see, I can hear, I can
Mhm.
talk, I can
Mhm.
walk. I have a house, a wife, and a kid that love me. I've got a puppy dog,
Mhm.
right? Like I've got two annoying cats. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm grateful for the cats. No, I like the cats. But like you know what I mean? Like
Right.
when you start thinking about the things that you have in your life versus what you don't have,
Right. It's depressing.
and it's true. Like I know like job search is hard, and we're worried about bills, and we have the fear,
Mhm.
and but somewhere in a really dark part of the world is somebody that's been put and lives in a cage.
Yeah.
Right, like that is a thing, like that,
Right.
right? You're not that person.
Right.
Like we're so like if that's like the very worst,
Right.
you're doing okay in this in the
Right.
scale of how things are working.
Right.
And there's always a thing like you can things can turn on a dime.
Right.
Right, like you're talking about meetup, like maybe you get into a meetup and you start talking to people and you start to know somebody, and then they're like, well, what do you do? Oh, well, I am a marketing professional. It's like, oh, so cool. How'd you get into that? So kind of like, you know what? My brother-in-law needs help with his startup, and okay. Well, now not only do you have a lead, but you're perhaps now in a startup situation.
Right.
I mean, you just never know.
Yeah.
It's I like baseball a lot, and it's
Mm-hmm.
in baseball you have to have like a short-term memory, because if you're a pitcher and you just got teed off on and the person just hit a grand slam, the next person at bat, you can't take what just happened
I see what you're saying.
into the next pitch. You have to forget what just happened and reset. You talk about reset for the next one. It's like, and I love Derek Holland. He was a pitcher for the Rangers, which my home team, the Texas Rangers, and he would get into his own head, and you could just see it. What him on the mound, he would just melt down, and you could see it. It's a hard thing to remember. So in job search, like, oh, we went through that third round and didn't get the job.
Right.
What's going to be next?
Exactly.
Right? I think trying to create that positive environment is what makes the difference. It just does, because just in struggling through the process, and that's you have to have a process for the job search.
Absolutely.
That is the thing that makes the difference, right?
Definitely.
So Irene, let me ask, any advice for people that are struggling, or people that are going through the job search and having a hard time because they've got personal stuff going on that's weighing down on them?
If you got personal things that are weighing down on you, I would say start by journaling, because that helps.
Journaling, okay.
Journaling will help me. And maybe you're not the journaling type. Find something that you would do that helps you to decompress, to de-stress. Maybe that's going for a bike ride. Maybe that's going for a swim or walk. Whatever it is that resonates with you, do that. But I think that processing what you're going through, acknowledging it first, is key.
Yeah.
Because you can't shove it under the rug. You got to acknowledge what you're going through, and then remind yourself that your situation is temporary.
Oh,
that's the key. Yeah. It's temporary. It's not going to be like that forever. There is light at the other end. I mean, there is how you gotta cling to that. And then got to put yourself in a mind frame that you can overcome this. And if that means writing it down 50 times or saying it to yourself 50 times, do it. Because when you repeat positive affirmations, something happens inside of you. Yeah. It builds strength. It builds self-confidence. And when you have the self-confidence, you can tackle the job interview, the job search in a much positive, stronger mindset. Because the thing that I always remembered was that the interview can read your body language. They can sense your emotions. They can also sense desperation. You don't want to project desperation. You want to project that you are the right fit for that role, that you are the perfect person for that company. And the only way that you can do that is to project that self-confidence, that positivity. Even when you're going through the worst of the worst, you can still have a positive mindset, but it takes active working. It also takes active visualization too, because I'm a fan of visualization.
Yeah.
So what I would do is 10 minutes before a job interview, I would visualize having a successful conversational interview.
Okay.
9 times out of 10, that works. Now, there are times that you will bomb an interview because that's happened to me. But you gotta take that as something to learn from versus the end of the world. Because, like you said, it's something that you can easily forget.
Yeah. Sharon Harris said, "Yes, lady." But that is true. And one of the things I am really big on, because it does take work.
Yes.
And especially if you are in a situation where you have been beaten down.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I work with clients is I have them write out an attributes list. Like, why are you good at your job? Why are you good at the job? Tell me why. And then add to it and tell me why you're a nice human being. And then we write it down so that we have something tangible.
Right.
And when we start to self-doubt, when we start to have those bad feelings, we can pick it up and look at our list and be, I'm pretty good at this.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Irene, we're getting kind of close to time. How can people get in touch with you if they want to connect with you?
The best way is to connect with me via LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Irene Krasnoff. Feel free to connect with me, and I will, and then also message me too.
Very good. Thanks for being on today. It looks like it was pretty helpful, I think.
I hope this has been helpful.
Yeah. And I so like it was so funny because it's been like 2 years, right? Since we were working together, and just like out of the blue, you're like, hey, I want to be on the podcast. Here's the angle. Here's what I want to talk about. And I'm like, that's brilliant. Let's do that. Right. So I appreciate that, but also too, thanks so much for being here today. Irene, fun question for the day.
Okay.
What is your favorite pastry?
My favorite pastry, chocolate croissant.
Chocolate croissant. Is it the chocolate inside the croissant?
Chocolate inside the croissant.
Oh, okay.
Melted warm. It's yummy.
I like croissants as well, but what I like to do is cut them lengthwise and put butter in there, and then put some cheddar cheese inside it and melt it.
That's also good too.
It's like the best. It's like my favorite thing for pastries. And I'm not a big. I don't like bread. I don't eat a lot of bread, but that is something that I always enjoy eating. Guys, tell me what your favorite croissant is. So next week we'll have another guest. We will have Nelson Wheel on. Also, this will be Overcoming Diversity Part 2. Nelson was a very successful, had a very successful career, and had no idea that he had Asperger's.
Wow.
Yeah. He was diagnosed with that later in life, and he's going to talk about how one of the things he does now today is provides hope for other people that have, or their children that have that, and how they can help navigate it. Incredible story. You might cry. You might cry. But Nelson will be here next week, so come back and see us next week. Irene, thanks again for being on Caffeinate Your Career today. Everybody have the best week. We'll see you next week. Bye.